Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation on our research report, which is measuring the impact of IT outsourcing, the relationship between business activity and social impact. Firstly, we're going to take you through our research to question as we have defined it, which is to what extent has positive social impact in Ireland been the result of greater levels of ITO and BPO. So basically what we're asking here are what are the major societal and economic benefits from the increase in the levels of ITO and BPO over the last number of years. Obviously there are certain limitations to the report, such as getting a defined figure for ITO and BPO, but a lot of you guys would have experienced that as well, and we've worked around it to the best of our ability. The target audience for this report would be researchers and scholars in the field of global outsourcing, the Irish government, and again practitioners in ITO and BTO. So moving on. First, just to give you a broad framework and an idea from, I suppose, a starting point from where our research was conducted, we look at why Ireland. So from talking to people within the industry, from conducting research online, we identified three major reasons that foreign companies involved in ITO and BPO would set up in Ireland. The first of which will not surprise any of you, it's taxation. So, as many of you will know, Ireland has a taxation rate for a corporate tax of 12.5%. This is very competitive compared to other countries in Europe and across the globe. But actually what we found is not only the low corporate tax rate which is attractive, it is the stability of the tax rate. So Ireland over the last number of years has been under pressure from both the EU and IMF to change its taxation rate, and successive governments have come in and said no, it is the bedrock of our economy, we will not change our taxation rate. So it's this certainty and stability of taxation which is also a big influencing factor in companies setting up here. The second one is the availability of talent. Now, while we do recognise Ireland does have a vast array of indigenous talent which makes it extremely competitive compared to other countries, a separate or distinctive factor of this talent pool is the availability of foreign talent in Ireland. So what our researchers found is that many people from continental Europe, such as France, Germany, Austria, are actually very happy to come, live and work in Ireland for a number of years, especially if they're being attracted by big global brands such as such as Google and Facebook and LinkedIn. The third factor that we look at are geopolitical ones, and one specifically is membership of the EU. So a lot of the companies that would set up in Ireland and deal with the IDA, over 80% in fact, are American companies. And what they're looking to do is set up European operations and get access to that single market, which is the EU. Setting up in Ireland gives them access to that market while still managing to set up an economy that is indigenously English speaking. While this has always been a factor, given the fact that Britain planned to leave the EU in the next number of years, this has been identified as an area that Ireland can capitalise and seek further international investment from American firms, for example. So moving on to the research design as well, given that we were carrying out a research in a country in which we are based, we are very fortunate in being able to conduct both qualitative and quantitative research. The qualitative research involves talking to people within the field, and one such person which we got a lot of useful information from was Mary McAvoy. Mary McAvoy is the Vice President of Technology and Consumer Services at the IDA. The IDA has been around for 67 years and is responsible for attracting foreign companies to set up operations in Ireland. Mary McAvoy would deal with companies such as Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, and then in terms of the business process outsourcing side of things, she would deal with companies such as Accenture. So a lot of our discussions and findings from speaking to people like Mary drove where we focused our research from a quantitative viewpoint. And in terms of our quantitative data sources, we use things such as the World Bank, Eurostat, and the Irish Central Statistics Office. So from speaking to Mary and examining various different data sets, we developed 4 distinctive hypotheses to investigate the economic and societal benefits of ITO and BPO outsourcing in Ireland, and we separate them into 2 distinctive groups. So in terms of BPO, the hypotheses that we looked at were A, the level of commercial service exports, i.e. BPO, and the unemployment rate will have a negative correlation. So we're trying to substantiate the claim that the number of foreign investment in Ireland from business process outsourcing companies has increased our employment rate. The second thing we're looking at is the level of commercial service exports, and the amount of foreign direct investment will have a positive correlation. So a lot of the business process outsourcing activity is viewed to come from foreign firms. So again, we're trying to substantiate that claim by seeing is there a correlation between that and the level of foreign direct investment. Moving on to ITO hypotheses, the first of which is the level of ICT service exports, so ITO, and the amount of technicians in R&D will have a positive correlation. So this goes back to what we were discussing earlier about the availability of talent. So obviously technicians in R&D is a very high skilled job. So what we're trying to measure here is, as ITO has gone up, has the number of people working in that field in Ireland increased? And obviously these people could be indigenous to Ireland, but they could also be foreign talent. And the second hypothesis for ITO is the level of ICT service exports and the population of the capital city will have a negative correlation. So one of the things we discussed earlier is that idea of geopolitical factors. And when specifically looking at Ireland, one thing that it's important to examine is the number of people who live and work in the capital city in Dublin. There's a widely held view that the amount of foreign investment in Ireland is way too much focused on the capital to the detriment of the rest of the country. Now this was something that Mary McAvoy brought up herself and said a lot of the time when they're bringing companies to view Ireland, they bring them to areas outside of Dublin because they're trying to rebalance the distribution of investment away from being heavily focused in Dublin. So just in summation, what we're looking to examine are the major societal and economic impacts of ITO and BPO outsourcing in the country. We've used both qualitative and quantitative research methods to investigate these themes, and while we don't actually have our findings yet, we hope that we will find something interesting.